We have a guest who's lost a cell phone. If you discover that cell phone, would you take it to registration, please? Again, we have a guest who has lost a cell phone. If you find it, please take it to registration. All right, friends, our program is beginning in just 2 minutes. Please go ahead and take your seats. Our program is starting in 2 minutes. Thank you so much. Friends, feel free to dive into your salads now. Entrees are coming shortly. Once again, the food you see at the table is just your starter. Go ahead and start eating. And to that end, if you have not yet taken a seat, please do so. The program is starting momentarily. All right, friends of WCV and WEC, make some noise for yourselves for being in the right place to be on a Friday night. Oh, you're only partially thrilled with yourselves. I think you should be all the way thrilled with yourselves. Let's try that one more time. Make some noise for being in the right place to be on a Friday night. Very good. Very good. Hello. Welcome. Here we are at Unite, an evening with WEC and WCV. My name is Sasha Summer Cousineau. I use she, her pronouns, and I am so honored to be serving as the MC for these two fabulous organizations for the 4th time. Who was here with us in 2019? Make some noise if you were here in 2019. Right, very good. Good to see you again. Who was with us virtually last year? Make some noise. Very good. And if you're brand new, make the most noise. Make the no. Yes, I love it. I love it. Welcome, friends. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the very clean and warm water. We are happy you are here. So, I'm going to do something wild here. I'm just going to do something wild, but that means that I'm going to need your full attention. So everybody within the sound of my voice, give me a little clink, clink, clink of the glass. Everybody within the sound of my voice, give me a little clink, clink, clink. There we go. All right. I don't do that often, but I do it when it's important. We are kicking off this program a little bit different this year. We are getting a little bit wild. You know, it's post-lockdown times. The pandemic has made things wild, and I'm feeling a little wild, so we're going to do things different tonight. Yes, this here is a fundraiser. Don't you know it? Yes. Later in the program, we will be doing what you all know as a traditional raise the paddle. But first, we're going to warm up those philanthropic muscles. You know what I'm talking about, right? That philanthropic muscle. So what you have on your table, or some of you have set it under your seats, is a 3-digit bidder number. I'm going to need you to go on and find those right now. Sorry to interrupt the eating. I know you're getting into your salads. I'm going to need you to find those right now. And once you found them, just show them to me. Just prove that you found it. I want to see it. Let's wave them high and proud in the air. We know what we are here to do. It's an 8.5 by 11 card. They should be on your table. You need to find those because that is how you participate in the fundraising this evening. So, oh, very good. Some of you have found it. If you haven't found it, let's see. Let's make sure you found it. So they say your name on them. They're stacked up on your table. Go ahead and pass those out. Why do I need you to find them? Because we are going to do a really quick, really fast live auction. It's just 2 items, 2 very cool items. And then we're going to get into our beautiful program. And I do mean beautiful. So we are going to be auctioning off a couple of amazing items that are going to allow you this incredible experience of getting to know 2 of our WEC, WCV staff members even better than, we already know they're amazing and we love them, but you're going to get to know them very well. And those 2 staff members would be Mindy Roberts, Puget Sound Director. Make some noise for Mindy. And our amazing CEO, Alyssa Macy, make some noise for Alyssa. Which, by the way, Alyssa's one of those people who's so amazingly smart and competent and accomplished, and then also has the nerve to show up here looking so fierce in that red velvet tonight. Alyssa, my gosh, why do you have to be that good? All right. So we want to spend time with these 2 humans. So let's talk about these live auction items. The first item in our live auction is a chanterelle mushroom hunting adventure for 4 on Kitsap Peninsula or Whidbey Island. This is going to be your opportunity to hang out with Mindy Roberts. And we're going to do this in October or November. You're going to head out to the Kitsap Peninsula or the Whidbey Island for 3 hours of hunting wild chanterelles. We're talking about golden. We're talking about white. Yummy, yummy for the tummy. So this includes a pocket guide to mushrooms by David Aurora, a basket to carry home your bounty, a lesson on identifying chanterelles and harvesting them safely, and also a recipe for you to prepare them so that you can enjoy them. I'm being told that they can't hear me. Somebody's telling me they'd like a little more volume on my mic. So thank you for that. A little bit more volume. So this is a one-of-a-kind experience, but we are saying this sold for $1,000 when we sold it online before. So let's see if we can meet or beat that sale price. Here we are. We're going to sell our first live auction item. Who will kick us off with a bid of $500? Who will kick us off with a bid of, I bid 500 and now 600 right there. Hello, make it 7. I bid 7, make it 8. 700 looking for an $800 bid, 700 here. And would you bid 8? I bid 700 here looking for 8. And this is one of 2 auction items. 700 here looking for an $800 bid. Shall I sell it for 700 then? Value on, no, I shan't. $800 right there. I like it. I bid 800 looking for 900. Would you bid 900? I bid 800 here. Yeah, you can applaud that. That's tremendous. 800 looking for 9. I bid 800 looking for a $900 bid. $900 here. 800 here and 900 where? 800 here and 900 where? All right, I think I'll go on and sell it then for $800. Shall I? Shall I? Sold it, $800 to bidder number. May I see your bidder number, please? 414. That's $800 to bidder 414. Hey, thank you, table right here, Alyssa's table, for doing most of the bidding. I appreciate it. And congratulations to you, our winner. Now we are going to get on to our second auction item, which is a traditional native salmon bake for 6 along the shores of Bellingham Bay on Lummi Nation. Yes, this is an incredible experience, friends. Sometime in June, you're going to head on over there. You're going to hang out with our CEO, Alyssa, and also her partner, Dana Colixton Wilson. And they're going to treat you and 5 of your friends to a traditional Lummi salmon bake and a tasting of traditional foods on the Warm Springs people. So this is going to be an absolutely incredible and unique experience. You will get insight on the traditional homelands of the Lummi Nation. You will hear wild fish tales of the sea, and you're going to hear about the process and cultural importance of fishing at Lummi and the Warm Spring Nations. Now, when we sold this online before, it sold for about $2,500. We are hoping we can meet or beat that goal again. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and kick the bidding off at $1,500. Who will kick us off with a $1,500 bid? Make it $1,750. I bid $1,500 and $1,750 over there. Make it $2,000. I bid $1,750, looking for $2,000, and I've got it. Now $2,250. $2,000 here and $2,250 where? $2,000 here, looking for $2,250. Would you bid $2,250? And you would. $2,250, make it $2,500. I bid $2,250, looking for $2,500 now. Bid it on now. Bid it on now. $2,500 right here. I like it. Make it $2,750. I bid $2,500. Make it $2,750 now. $2,750. That's $2,750. Yes, $2,750 right there. Now $3,000. I bid $2,750. Make it $3,000. Do we have $3,000 in the house? $2,750 here and $3,000 where? $2,750 here and $3,000 where? Are you thinking about it? Are we on the fence? $3,000. Yes. $3,000, now $3,250. I'm bid $3,000, looking for $3,250. That's $3,250 for WEC and WCV. $3,000 here and $3,250 where? $3,000 here and $3,250 where? All in, all good? All right. Sold at $3,000 to bidder number 566. That's $3,000 to bidder 566. Oh my goodness. Are you in at $3,000? Sold it twice. $3,000 to bidder number 377. That's $3,000 to bidder 377. Tremendous. Thank you for your bid. Alyssa and partner, thank you for your generous donation of that incredible item. Okay, now because we're keeping it festive, I told you, things are wild tonight. Not only do we have all of you in the room, but we have a good size grouping of humans who are also joining us virtually. And we are about to welcome them to this event. But before we do some housekeeping items, if you purchased a raffle ticket, we'll be doing that drawing at the end of the program. Remember, later we will be doing a Raise the Paddle. We have a $50,000 matching opportunity. There's an announcement about that at your table. So get thinking now about how you want to maximize that $50,000 match. On the Trifold program, there are 2 of them at each table, I believe. On the Trifold program, you're going to find 2 QR codes. One of those QR codes takes you to our online program where you can find all sorts of information about our amazing speakers who are going to take the stage, but it also gets you to a super cool word cloud activity that we're going to do right now. So go ahead, find that QR code, scan it with your phone, just boop it. Just get on over there and boop that thing. Get your mobile phones out now and scan that QR code to join us in the mobile cloud, or the word cloud activity. And what I want you to do once you get there is you want to tell us what word or phrase describes the Washington you'd like to leave for the next generation. What word or phrase describes the Washington you'd like to leave for the next generation? And we already have some of you who have gotten in there. Clean and green. clean air, healthy, justice, indigenous, salmon, reforested, equitable, biodiversity. This is beautiful. Look at it grow. Native land back. Yes. Environmental justice. Yes. Okay. Keep letting that word cloud grow. Add your thoughts, add your reflections. We are going to visit that again later. But now, friends, let's welcome the rest of our community into this event. Will you help me count it down to bringing in our online audience? I'm going to count it down from 5, and then we'll bring in our online audience. Who wants to do it with me? Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody look at that camera and say hi. Hello, online audience. We are so happy to have you joining us here at Unite. We are happy that your virtual energy is here. We have in-person energy. It's great. We have Sonia from WEC, WCV, who is working in the chat with you. You can feel free to chat with her there. And we're also dropping a donation link for you, virtual friends. Look to the chat for that donation link. Know that those of you joining virtually can join us at any time with a donation, anytime you wish throughout the program. But now, we are officially going to dive into our program. And once again, I'm just going to ask for a quiet and focus engagement. That's it, a quiet and focus engagement as we bring to the stage our first speaker, who is going to officially open our program with a blessing. Please welcome WEC and WCV's Communications Director, Zachary Pullin.
Tansi. Tansi. Nimitan itan uta ayoyun. Hello, good evening. I'm so happy you're here. My name is Zachary Pullin. I am the Communications Director for Washington Environmental Council and Washington Conservation Voters, and I'm also a citizen of the Chippewa Cree Nation of Rocky Boy, Montana. First, I want to acknowledge the elders in the room. It is traditional in our culture for elders to speak first, so thank you for allowing me to speak before you. I want to invite all of us now to stop what we're doing. I know our food and our drinks are so good, and just bring our presence here. Put your day, even this week, behind you. Sit intentionally where you are and invite yourself to become grounded in this moment, in this location. I invite you to close your eyes. Acknowledge the honor and privilege it is to live on the traditional lands and ancestral lands of the tribal nations, the Coast Salish people, whose current lands we call Seattle, named after Chief Seattle. Hold with you the gratitude we all carry toward the original and current stewards of this land. The life we enjoy here today is a direct result of the sacred relationship, the connection these tribal nations and their ancestors held with the natural world and Mother Earth. Let us call in our ancestors, the ones who've prayed for us, who fought for us, who were courageous for us, who love us. Let's invite them in to help us today in our future work to protect people and our planet. Let us ask for their blessings on this space, on our purpose here tonight, on all of our guests, on this food, on our legislators, and all those on the front lines for environmental justice. Together, we set the intention to open a direct line of communication and collaboration between ourselves and the earth, Mother Nature, that we may be open to the earth's messages and pleas, needs, and concerns. Our electeds need to hear the earth, our staff and board, our donors, our volunteers, and our community partners too. The earth has many ways of communicating with us, and we must choose to be willing to slow down enough to listen and to understand. I invite you to open your eyes if they're still closed, and thank you. We know that more than land acknowledgements, we need action. 3 years ago, we were faced with the reality that we weren't showing up to this work like we needed to, particularly in our relationships with tribal nations across Washington. When Alyssa Macy, a citizen of the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs, Oregon, was hired as WEC and WCV's CEO in 2020, she led our orgs through radical transformation to an approach of collaboration and consultation. This year, we have our first full-time staff for our Tribal Nations program, and we've partnered with Native Vote Washington, working to elect Native candidates across Washington and increasing voter participation in Native communities across the state. We can be proud of these efforts and also ask that you keep us accountable and join us in doing even more. Now, it is my distinct honor. I'm sorry, I'm very emotional today. It is my distinct honor. Thank you. I think I'm emotional because I get to introduce our CEO. It is an immense honor and a privilege to work with Alyssa Macy. She's our CEO, and I invite her to the stage to share with us her words, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Woo. My heart's beating really fast right now. Wigwa. As you know, my name's Alyssa Macy. I'm a citizen of the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs, Oregon, and I'm also the CEO of Washington Conservation Voters and Washington Environmental Council. It's amazing to see all of you here today in person, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who's also tuning in with us virtually tonight. I'm so deeply grateful to all of you for being here. Tribal leaders, elected officials, and candidates, can you please stand up? Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to be with us today. We really appreciate it. And of course, a big shout out to all of our sponsors and team captains. This would not have been possible without your support. I want to first start out by acknowledging that this is the first time that WCV and WEC have held a joint event and our first grand in-person gathering since 2019. This is also my first large in-person event for both organizations, more than 2.5 years since I stepped into this role. And since we last gathered in person, we've dealt with truly historic issues: a racial reckoning, a global pandemic, years of enduring in quarantine, an attempt to stop the certification of the president, restrictions on the rights of women and people across the country, and more real-world examples of the climate crisis, like wildfires, drought, and smoke that we've been experiencing in the last month. It has been a lot, to say the least. And sadly, I haven't fully yet emerged from quarantine. This last summer, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, which altered my life and put me on a new journey during these transformational times. And while my cancer story is personal, it is very much connected to the bigger story of the times that we are in. Cancer is a disease of abnormal cell growth with the potential to invade and spread in different parts of your body. When I think about cancer inside of me, I reflect on the cancer that is impacting Mother Earth: colonization, capitalism, fossil fuel extraction, racism, environmental exploitation, and the pursuit of oppressive power. All of these have grown and spread throughout the planet, making the earth, the animals, and the people sick. These past years, I've spent considerable time in ceremony, in prayer, and in reflection, thinking about the state of the world and what I can do to help change the course that we are on. And I've come to the conclusion that this is a story about our health, my health, your health, community health, and the health of Mother Earth. We are all part of this living planet, just like the trees and the birds that we see, and the animals. We are intrinsically connected to this planet. And right now, this planet is sick, and in many ways, so are we. And we cannot and will not heal our environment without healing ourselves. But this is not a story of survival that we are writing. This is a story of healing and of thriving. It's a story about our collective faith to overcome, to reconnect with the planet, our faith and one another. It's about ceremony, celebration, joy, laughter, and love. Our collective future needs our healthy minds and body, our love and determination. That is why I am so happy to be here with all of you tonight, united and committed to ensuring that our future generations can survive and thrive. As an organization, we've decided that the most impactful way we can use our work is to contribute to the caring of the environment is by taking a big leap forward in a unique, transformational, and united way. Tonight's event is called Unite, an evening with WEC and WCV. Because while our two organizations have been working closer and closer together over the years, this is the first time that we've brought the two audiences together for one event. This was intentional, as we're in the process of officially bringing together our WEC policy work and our WCV political work under a single unified brand. I'm excited to share with you exclusively that we will launch a new name at the beginning of 2023. It's been a long time coming. Our vision for a healthy environment is stronger than ever, and we will be able to effectively and officially leverage the two powerful organizations so that Washington State can continue to lead on addressing the climate crisis. And we know without a doubt that the most important work in truly addressing environmental challenges is fighting for racial and environmental justice. And it's long overdue for the big greens, the organizations like ours, to approach the solving of issues in intentional and transformative ways. This is some of the things that we are doing. We are committed to ensuring a healthy democracy. We continue to build on the work with the Washington Voting Justice Coalition, which passed legislation for same-day registration, pre-registration for 16 to 17-year-olds, posted page ballots, and restoring voting rights for formerly incarcerated people upon release from prison. Thank you to everybody who worked on that. Our campaign, Evergreen Future, is a roadmap to 2024 to push elected officials and candidates across Washington to support bolder intersectional environmental action at all levels of government. It helped us to pass landmark legislation to aggressively address the climate crisis, bringing tribal nations and frontline communities to the table, and ensuring that environmental justice is incorporated into all of our policies. We're building a new tribal nations program, as Zachary shared, that will touch on all of our policy areas and our political work, including serving as the fiscal sponsor for Native Vote Washington and supporting Native candidates that are running for office. And just this summer, in a unanimous decision in our case before the Washington State Supreme Court, the court affirmed our understanding of the state constitution, recognizing that the Department of Natural Resources can integrate the many diverse public benefits of forests into the management of state forest lands, beyond maximizing revenue generation from timber harvest, giving DNR and Commissioner France an opportunity to lead like never before. And a year ago at our WCV event, we had Governor Inslee and Chairman Wheeler of the Nez Perce talking about the Snake River dams and the fight to save salmon. And all is pointing to a future where we can remove the dams, uphold treaty obligations, save salmon, and invest in new forms of green energy. Everything we care about has a political connection, and every political issue needs to be informed by good policy expertise, centering the communities most impacted, and be bold in these transformational times. WEC, WCV, our united conservation movement, we are filling a unique and critical space. We are the only organization to get people elected, we hold them accountable, and we combine that with people-centered policy. We know if we're going to do a good job to protect our environment, we need good laws, and we need to get good laws with the right people in office. This is our job, and tonight we're here to raise money for this work. Tonight, I'm excited to share with you exclusively, first before anyone else sees it, well, there are a couple of folks that have seen it, admittedly, is a video showcasing a perfect example of the impact, the power, the progress when community, policy, and politics are united for people on the planet. Thank you for taking the time to be with us this evening. Thank you for all the love and support that people have given to me during this journey that I'm taking in my personal life. I really appreciate it. And we are so excited to continue to build this movement united with all of you.
Against the Sorrel Savage Oil Terminal, and there was a WEC person in line with me, and I thought, oh man, we have support. That warmed my heart. And then Riverkeeper was here getting everybody in red shirts, which we still have.
No one thought we could win, but we didn't have the choice not to win. The threat to our public health, to our communities, our waterways, our climate, it was just too risky. Losing was not an option.
Tacoma Riverkeeper and Washington Environmental Council were instrumental in helping us mobilize. There was a tidal wave of local grassroots opposition, and the momentum became actually, I think, a tsunami.
The future is clear. The era of our addiction to fossil fuels is over, and our communities will no longer tolerate being sacrificed for industry interests.
When we organize and when we pay attention and we act collectively, we're unstoppable.
Yes, there's one thing I'd like to say to Big Oil. Fuck you.
I was inspired to run for the Clark Public Utilities because it appeared to me that they were going to delay any effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
WCV brings another important piece to the table by having a 501c4. So when it comes time to get people in office who are going to listen to the community, WCV is there to identify and support those people.
Early on, we knew we had to build our collective power, and that meant using every tool in our toolbox. from doorbelling to finding candidates to run for strategic offices.
Orange has 64%.
It's one of those things that if you're an elected official and you see this map that says your census tracts within your area that you're looking at to is all a high risk, wouldn't you want to like work on policies to reduce that?
Working with Washington Environmental Council in Vancouver, it wasn't just about the Tesoro Savage victory.
After several years of continued work after stopping the Tesoro Savage terminal, the port has a climate action plan. The city is adopting a strategic climate framework and is poised to ban bulk fossil fuel terminals from the region. And instead of a dirty oil terminal, the waterfront where that proposal would have been is now a welcome and inviting area for visitors and neighbors. The community has staying power. It has people power.
Take every opportunity you can to get involved civically. And if you're not asked, ask.
I just know that I'm in it till the end.
It takes all of us, right? It's amazing. For the last 20 years, Washington Conservation Voters has recognized a legislator who goes above and beyond to make positive environmental change. With a growing number of environmental leaders in the legislature, it is increasingly difficult to name just one. But this year, one champion stood out, not for her remarkable work to tackle, climate change and lay the foundation for the future of our state. I'm having a moment where I need my glasses. Yeah, I know that folks know what I'm talking about. Representative Davina Duerr from the 1st Legislative District fights in the Washington State Legislature for equitable and community-driven policies to protect public health and the environment. As a former City of Bothell council member and deputy mayor, she understands the importance of adopting bold solutions that can be implemented effectively so that people feel the benefits of the progress. This year, Representative Duerr's tireless dedication were undeniable. She's an effective and driven leader on climate action. She does not hesitate to lead on bold policy that we need to protect our communities and reduce pollution. And she centers racial justice and intersectional issues in the work. Representative Duerr successfully led to add a climate change goal to our state land use policy law, the Growth Management Act, which we will get this bill across the finish line this year. Now, please join me in congratulating Representative Davina Duerr, Washington Conservation Voters 2022 Legislator of the Year. Please join me on stage. Hello. We'd like to offer you this photo as a token of our appreciation. Quite wonderful, and congratulations. Oh boy.
If you're lucky in life, you get a handful of days where your highest expectations for yourself are exceeded. This is one of those days for me. I will get through this eventually. Thank you so much for this recognition, WCV and WEC. I'm not sure I could be more flattered because I hold you in such high esteem. When I got the call telling me that I had won this award, my first thought was, hey, I'm legit. After all, I'm most known for a bill that I haven't been able to pass yet. When I was in architecture school 30 years ago, one of my professors told the class something that changed the path of my life. He said that the building industry was the most material and energy intensive industry on earth. I had a real moment of crisis. I had been attending NIPERG meetings and was pursuing a minor in environmental geography. How could I reconcile being an architect and an environmentalist? And now I've somehow ended up here, where I can pass legislation that makes the built environment healthier and greener. So no part of my journey was wasted because it all contributed to the work that I do. For those of you who know me, there is nothing more important to me than my kids. They're here in the audience. They are amazing human beings, kind and wise, resilient, loving, and funny, sometimes at my expense, but they do keep me grounded. Everything that I do is informed by them and is for them. And they bring meaning to my climate work. Like most parents, I'd do anything for my kids. I would jump in front of a bus for my kids. Anyone else feel that way? Would you jump in front of a bus for your kids? So you know what I mean. What if I told you that bus was climate change? What are we willing to do to stop that bus? Would you advocate for legislation asking cities and counties to develop in ways that reduces greenhouse gas emissions and vehicle miles traveled? To plan around health disparities maps and unburdening overburdened communities? And also plan for climate resilience. My bill adding climate change as an element to the GMA asks municipalities to plan for these things in their next comprehensive plan updates. We know that infill development is one of the most powerful tools we have against climate change. Sprawl into our farms and forest lands accelerates climate change. Would you, even if you love your gas range, would you support legislation banning natural gas in new construction? Also known as pipeline expansion. Natural gas is still a fossil fuel. Gas stoves emit dangerous pollutants, often resulting in levels of indoor air pollution that would be illegal outdoors. Would you support Buy Clean, Buy Fair legislation? This legislation, thank you, would require state capital projects of a certain size to collect environmental product declarations, tracking embodied carbon in structural materials, signaling to industry that they need to begin innovating ways to reduce their embodied carbon in manufacturing. These are all things that we're going to do this year. So the good news is that we don't have to jump in front of that climate bus alone, climate change bus, but we do collectively need to be outspoken about how important it is that we prioritize necessary change. So thank you to those of you who fight hard to do the things that make people a little uncomfortable. Sending emails, doorbelling, making phone calls, educating your neighbors. Those grassroots efforts are so desperately needed. Thank you, WCV and WEC board, for your advocacy and commitment, and all the volunteers that work with them. Working with Darcy and Cliff and Danielle, I'm probably missing people, has been such a rewarding experience for me. Their behind the scenes support on the bills that we work on is invaluable. They help with research and education and lobbying, doing the work that one legislator alone could not do effectively. Thank you to my fellow elected officials that work every day to do the right thing, despite massive opposition sometimes and laughable compensation. Thank you to my fellow legislators who are on the team making Washington one of the most progressive environmental states in the country. We really do have the best team. We just do. And finally, thank you to my family, my mom and my kids, who give up hours and sometimes weeks with me and have stood by at the grocery store when a constituent stops me to just quickly mention something that's on their mind. I love you and thank you for your sacrifices. Thank you so much for this amazing recognition. I'm truly humbled. This is my life. I can't believe it. Good night, everyone.
A round of applause for Representative Davina Duerr. Thank you, Davina. Up next, we are presenting a panel conversation about environmental justice. Now coming to the stage, the moderator of this panel. Please welcome WCV's Political and Civic Engagement Manager, Tony Ivey.
Good evening, good evening. Well, good evening. Well, so are you guys ready for a good panel? We have some great conversation coming up. Now, I have the honor to not only moderate, but introduce our fantastic panel for tonight. We have U.S. Representative Derek Kilmer, Port of Tacoma Commissioner Kristin, and Vice President of Indian Country Pyramid Communications, Temryss Lane. So I'm really glad you all are here. I'm very excited to have this conversation and to see what you guys have to say. We're back. We're good. So let's dive right into it. So WEC and WCV has worked to move the general environmental movement closer to the principles and to the goals of environmental justice. Now, when we talk about environmental justice, we oftentimes talk about equitable transition. How do you see that being implemented? How do we implement that? And how have you seen that with WCV? Congressman Kilmer, you and WCV go back a long ways. So why don't you kick us off?
Sure. I'm not sure this works. Test. Hello?
Check, check.
Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? No, it's not.
So you're
I'm gonna ask somebody else.
green light on?
Go ahead, ask somebody else.
Okay. Well, while we get that done, Kristin, do you want to start us off? Equitable transition, what does that mean? What does that mean to you? How have you seen that with Washington Conservation Voters, Washington Environmental Council?
Sure. Equitable transition to me is a practical thing. It's not just something that we talk about in high poetic words.
Hold on one sec.
Oh.
Let's go, 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 go.
Oh, we got
Bop,
it
bop.
right. All right. There we go. We can start with
Bop, bop.
Representative.
Test, test, test. This is why you do it in rehearsal. Ugh, that's on me.
Okay,
Start with her.
no, go for it. I'll be last on this one.
All right, Congressman Kilmer.
Zach.
It's not on. Okay.
Check, check. Boop, boop.
Oh.
Works for me. Or I have another mic, so.
Oh, it's your mic.
Maybe it's just me.
It might just be us you. Do we have another mic real quick? Or everyone can talk into my lapel?
Go ahead, Kristin.
Okay. Hang on a second.
We're good. What about your pocket mic?
Doesn't look like it's on.
Test, test, test. That's it.
There we go.
All right.
It's great to be back at the West End.
Hold it up. Hold it up. Tip it up.
Can you hear me?
Tip it up a little. Tip it up a little. Like if you tip it up. No? Wow. Let me see.
All right.
Let me see the mic.
Let Kristin.
Can I see the mic? It's all right, Derek. You can sit really close.
No,
next to
go
me.
ahead.
Can I see?
Kristin,
Yeah,
your mic works, go
Can I see
ahead.
the mic? My mic works and I'm really loud anyway. But equitable transition. It is all about people. At the end of the day, it is about centering people. When I think about equitable transition, it's related to environmental justice. Who is at that table? Who are making these decisions? And who is benefiting from these decisions, from these policies, from these investments? Historically, there have been people who have been denied access to the table, land stolen from them, their voices denied. They are the ones who are consuming the pollution, but none of the benefits of extraction. So I have that in mind. For the Port of Tacoma, I know, the city of Tacoma was built because of the Port of Tacoma. It's where the rails meet the sails. The Chinese built those rails, and then as soon as they built them with their labor, they were kicked out on trains. It's called the Tacoma method. And I think even Hitler learned something about trains from them. And so there was also redlining with Blacks. They didn't want them in certain areas in Tacoma. They were denied certain opportunities. The seafarers that are in our ports, they're often Filipinos, like myself. And so these are the people that I think about when I think about what does equitable transition look like for the people in my community? What are the job opportunities? Where is the money being invested? I would like to say it's very practical too. There are metrics. This is not something that I'm going to write in poetry. This is something that I have to write, that there are goal lines. There is a 5-year, there is a 10-year. This is the money, this is the investments that we're making. This is the funding. These are the organizations. And somebody would say like, well, yes, I deal with communities, colors, tribes and whatnot, but I also, because I am a Port of Tacoma commissioner, I also deal with industry. And industry has to be part of this equitable transition. Wealthy people have to be part of this transition. The whole shift in mindset has to happen for our whole economy and our whole culture. And so I'm in those rooms, the small rooms with those oil executives and others. And someone will say like, climate change is real, right? Guys, you know all of that. Nobody is anymore shaking their heads or saying anything different. The movement has passed, climate change is here. And now it's about, what do we do? How fast do we do it? Where do we put these investments? And we're right there as the ports with zero emission trucks. But we have to think about, what about the people who can't afford these electric trucks? What about the hydrogen people? What about the people who can't afford the $100,000 EV cars? Where do people charge? Who owns the energy? How much energy low income people, can they afford it? So we have to make this transition affordable, inclusive, the standard of living increase for most people, and lower the cost of living and lower the cost of energy for all, and still be clean, have workforce.
Yes. Talk about who can afford what and why. Exactly.
So,
Congressman Kilmer, if we can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
I've never felt more pressure to say something compelling. So listen, I think about two P's. One is people. One of the things that the conservation voters and WEC does so well is elevating the reality, one, that we have big challenges, and two, that there are disproportionate impacts on people of color, on low-income communities, and elevating those voices. I think about, these are not just theoretical policy conversations. I think about the people I met down in Tahola at the lower reservation, the lower village of the Quinault Indian Nation. To stand on their coastline and have one of the tribal leaders say, when I was a kid, the ocean was a football field's length away, and now it's our front porch. To say there are days where when there's a storm surge, our village fills up like a bowl of water. And you can go online and Google Tahola and flooding, and you can see people literally rowing a canoe through the village streets. To talk to one young woman down in Tahola who said, I have asthma, and there are days now where the weather app on my phone says the forecast is for smoke. That is a reality now. To talk to people whose livelihoods have been tied to shellfish harvesting and fisheries, who are seeing changing ocean chemistry threaten their way of life. So part of the value of each of you supporting WEC and WCV is it elevates the voices of people to do, as Billy Frank Jr. said, tell their story. The second is policy. The consequence of the work of WEC and WCV is that we are able to pass important policy at the state, local, and even at the federal level. We just passed into law the Inflation Reduction Act, the most significant investment in climate action in the history of our country. And because environmental justice was part of that narrative, it's also part of the policy, making sure that there is actually grant money to communities that have been disproportionately impacted by pollution and by climate change, to make sure there's investments for greening our ports and for providing transit and for helping communities where historic infrastructure have cut those communities in half, to make sure that there's resilience dollars to help communities that are on the front lines and living the reality of climate change every single day. Those policies are part of that bill. Listen, that bill wouldn't be law, but for the conservation voters and to each of you who support this organization. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. What you're saying makes a lot of sense, especially when you talk about elevating voices. Temryss, I know that's something you do in your everyday job, elevating voices. Tell us about how that works into this equitable transition.
Thank you. First, it's an honor to be up here with both of you, WEC, WCV. Thank you for having me. I just want to say that equitable transition, from my perspective, means that we are putting people like Alyssa, Macy in the front, Native voices in the front, who have a vision that comes from millennia before, from the ancestors that walk behind her, the ancestors who know the land, the animals, the people, the water, the stars, who know it so well and come with deep wisdom and knowledge to be able to share and exchange with politicians, with allies, with other tribal nations, with BIPOC communities in the urban centers. Native people live primarily in urban centers, have been displaced or relocated historically from generation to generation, yet we're finding ways to step in, lead, reclaim space, and find home for our people. So equitable transition means that we are putting Indigenous leadership out there in front with a seat at the table to provide not only insight, but the wisdom and the deep knowledge that we hold in connection to the land and our non-human relatives.
Absolutely. That's such a necessity. I'm proud that WCV has elevated Native vote, has made full-time access to that organization so we can make sure that Native voices are being heard, Native candidates are being heard. Now, we often talk about connections like this. When we talk about building political power, when we talk about building effective leadership in the political space. Can you all answer, like, how have you seen that best leveraged with Washington conservation voters, building that political power? Kristin, I know Your election for port commissioner was pretty revolutionary down in the port of Tacoma. How are you able to see that?
Sure. I hope this mic is working. Oh, can you hear me? All right.
That's great.
So yes, Washington conservation voters was integral to my win. It really was. And I mean, I am the first person of color to be on that port commission in 100 years. And one that was, I would say, unique, and I'm very honored to have had the endorsement of the Scallop Tribe of Indians, in which there has been some tensions between the port and the tribe for those 100 years.
No doubt.
As well as running on what people thought was environmental justice, sustainability. What is she talking about? And she's not a maritime scion, a port executive, or Fortune 500. What does she have a business being in that seat? And I always say, this is the people's seat. This is the future of our children. It is about, so when you went into the race, I mean, I door knocked with Tony. I made calls. People, I would say that it was really heartening, because it does sustain me to have this support, and it meant so much for my community. Usually these down ballot races, people don't talk about them. So there is a lot of power and investments and money that they have, and mean so much, and they have so much impact for our region, for the Salish Sea. And finally, because sometimes they think that you're not going to win. I think at first it's the defeatist attitude. But Washington conservation voters, as well as WEC with their policy, is thinking, we must win. We have to fight. And because of that, you know, this woman of color, immigrant, gay person, was Red Pierce County ready for this? And the answer was yes. But it needed,
Absolutely.
it needed you. And I can just see from the faces of these rooms, the people that helped in my campaign and the legislators that I've worked with, and my Tacoma people over there. And all these are the people who make it happen. And we are here all tonight because we're in support of conservation voters and WEC, because we know the impact that it has in our communities. Otherwise, we'd have probably done something else on Friday.
Well, we're glad you're all here on a Friday. Temryss, working with communities, making those connections is very important, particularly with Native communities.
Yeah.
How have you seen those connections work in a political space?
Well, first, we need access to political participation, and that means removing the barriers to voting. And that's what we're doing here. That's what WCV, WEC is doing in partnership with Washington Native Vote, but also across the nation. The data is there. We know that voter suppression is happening, particularly in the Native community. And there are people out there making efforts to make sure that we're breaking down those barriers. So first, that's where the momentum begins. And then it's putting Native people into those positions. And I know we have some, I think I saw Claudia Kaufman back there, Kristin's back there. Yeah, I saw some people that are doing just that.
Absolutely.
And then we need voters to turn out. You know, the census, the 2020 census, Native people turned out. And we know it was an undercount, and it was our population grew significantly, and we make up a statistically significant percentage. And we also had a huge impact in the 2020 election. And we will continue, and we look good, says Maya Bellon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's a matter of making sure that we all have equitable access to political participation, and we are bringing along our family and friends.
Absolutely. Bring them along, equitable access, making sure we have that hope and faith. Now, Representative Kilmer, you've come up through the legislature in the state to come to the federal government. How have you seen WCV sort of leverage that space in the political space along community building? By the way, I hope your finger's better. The last time I saw Representative Kilmer, a congressman, he was down in the dirt, depaving a parking lot in Tacoma. No cameras, no aides, just him, and he smashed his finger. So is your finger okay?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. So to answer your question, one, don't sleep on how important WCV is politically. We would not have a pro-environment majority in the state House, in the state Senate, if not for WCV. We wouldn't have great local elected leaders on our port commissions, on our city councils, on our county councils. We wouldn't have a pro-environment delegation in the United States House, and we should grow that delegation and protect that delegation. Kim Schreier in the 8th, Marie Perez down in the 3rd. we have real opportunities to grow that pro-environment majority. My first candidate training was sponsored by the conservation voters. I had no idea how to knock on doors. I had no idea how to call my friends up and ask for money. I had no idea how to talk about my environmental values with people on their doorstep. And the conservation voters sponsored the training that I participated in. The fact that the WCV recruits, trains, and then supports candidates who share our values of protecting the environment, who look like the communities in which they come from, really, really matters. And then the final thing is, once they get elected, the WEC and the WCV are so powerful at pulling together partnerships so that as an elected official, you can be successful and get things done. I think on issue after issue, just look at the folks in this room. You've got tribal leaders, local elected, state elected, small business owners, all, an amazing diversity of folks here. So, for example, when we try to pull together a Puget Sound Day on the Hill, we're able to get that amazing, diverse, active group showing up, speaking up, standing up, and fighting for our environment. That's what WCV and WEC is so good at.
Thank you. Making those connections, giving that support. Now, on that note, I think we're going to have to end. This is an ongoing conversation. I want to thank our amazing panel for being here. We're all terrific.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Representative Kilmer, Temryss Lane, Commissioner Kristin Eng. Thank you so much for that. Now let us welcome Joel Moffett. Joel is a trailblazer and serves as the Director of Environmental and Special Projects at Native Americans for Philanthropy. He is the former chair of Columbia River Intertribal Fish Commission and the former chair of the Nez Perce Tribal Executive Committee. And we are very honored that he chooses to serve on the WCV board. Joel Moffett.
Caught me on a bio break. Sorry about that. Tatskalawit Himima Kalatiwama. Good evening, friends and relatives. Wow, what a night! What a night. Hamakas Katsiayo, thank you for all being here tonight, and those virtually on the Zoom land. Thank you for supporting WEC and WCV and the great work we do. Much appreciation to Alyssa, her whole team, Ken, the whole board, for making this night happen. We throw a good party, don't we? Like this is awesome. This is actually my first WEC WCV event live. So I'm here with a lot of you first timers, and yes, I'm glad to see new faces, glad to see friends, but this is a remarkable evening. And it's a good thing we're making it official. We're uniting later on this year, so we can throw more good parties like this. But the night's not over. I know we're running a little bit behind, so I'll try to be a little bit succinct. But then again, I'm a former tribal leader, so it's hard to be succinct. Politician. So you get the dubious pleasure of listening to my story on how I joined these two remarkable organizations. I was raised by strong leaders in my family and my tribe, the Nez Perce tribe, who taught me to honor the sacred covenant we have with the Creator and Mother Earth, and to take care of the medicines that she provides. This is a reciprocal relationship that goes back in time way before we even when we first were placed on this land, and we didn't know how to live off the land. And I always think about salmon. Because salmon was the first species to step up and take pity on us and to feed us and give up their life to take care of us. And so we have to honor that covenant with salmon, with the roots, with all the four-leggeds and the wingeds, all the species, all the medicines that have sustained us for thousands of years. We have to maintain that connection and that relationship and take care of them. And we're yeah, exactly. And we're at a critical time in history right now, where we must save the salmon, save these keystone species that are on the brink of extinction. And we have to do that by taking bold actions, like taking out the 4 lower snake dams. Man. And I have no doubt that the tribes, in partnership with WEC and WCV and our other allies, will achieve that goal. Honoring that sacred relationship we have with Mother Earth has not only been a moral compass for me, but it has also been a driving force in my professional life. As the Natural Resource Policy Coordinator for Affiliated Tribes of Northwest Indians, I had the fortune of working closely with Alyssa and Rebecca and Darcy. I think I saw everybody out there, Cliff, and I'm gonna miss a bunch of names, but working with the remarkable staff at WEC, as we worked hand in hand with the tribes to craft policies that center the voices of those who are impacted most by climate change. And we passed meaningful laws that will secure an environment which protects those medicines that will heal and sustain us for generations to come. I'm talking about the landmark Climate Commitment Act. Yeah. We wouldn't have done it without the tribes and the partnership with WEC and WCV. And that's why I joined the WCV board earlier this year. I'm proud to be a part of this movement. I'm proud to be able to work with the wonderful individuals at WEC and WCV to secure a healthy and thriving environment for all of us and honor our covenant to take care of all those medicines that they provide. So please join us in this movement. Open up your hearts, open up your wallets, and give as much as you can so we can continue to do this remarkable work. Thank you. I'll pass it off to Sasha.
Thank you, Joel. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right. Friends who have joined us virtually, we are so honored to have shared virtual space with you this evening. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your support. We're about to do a Raise the Paddle in the room, so we're feeling like that might not be the awesomest thing for an online audience to watch. So how about this? We're going to drop the donation link in the chat for you right now. And if you have not already, now would be the time to go ahead and make your gift to support this incredible work. Hey, can we all turn around and say goodbye to our online friends? Goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us. All right.